Welcome to Target Market Insights, the multifamily and marketing podcast. Each week, John Kasman interviews multifamily and marketing experts to teach you how to find the best places to invest, attract investors, and grow your portfolio. You are listening to Target Market Insights with your host, John Kasman.
Welcome to Target Market Insights. I'm your host, John Kasman, and I want to thank you for joining us for another great episode. Now, today we're going to be talking to Genecia Alluora. Genecia is a former Miss Singapore and Southeast Asia Woman of Excellence 2010. She is the founder of Soul Rich Woman, the #1 female entrepreneur network in Southeast Asia that connects more than 200,000 women across the region with a presence in 7 countries, including Singapore, Malaysia, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Indonesia. With that said, let's welcome to the show, Genecia Alluora.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you for coming on. Genecia, I had a chance to take a look at your extended bio, and I know that there's way more to your story than just kind of coming out, being Miss Singapore, creating all this excellent business and helping other people. Why don't you take a little bit of time and really give us a little bit more background on your story?
Hi, my name is Genecia Alluora. I'm from Singapore, and I'm the founder of Soul Rich Woman. We are currently serving 200,000 women and across the region. Before all these, I was running a cafe retail chain with presence in 3 countries, Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. So that's how I got my experience building a network across Southeast Asia because of the cafe retail chain experience. And by doing so, it taught me, how to grow. And of course, we exited later on to a public listed company, although that's for the cafe business. And for Soul Rich Women, we basically help women to go from offline to online. And our focus is in Southeast Asia. And we help women to find their voices and shine. So anyone can be a Soul Rich Woman. That's our belief. Because for women who love the F word, being fabulous, having freedom, and financial independence.
There you go. Not the F word I was expecting, but I'm very glad you used that F word and not a different F word. So you talked about going offline to online and your experience in kind of the cafe retail space. Expand a little bit more on the importance of going offline to online and helping other women do that.
Well, the place to go from offline to online came about because in 2013, in fact 2012, I was still an image consultant. I started my business in 2006, so it was in the image consultancy side, but it was trading time for money. I was like, if I work, I get paid. I work, I get paid. If I don't work, I don't get paid. So when however, I had a very strong brand on offline because I was in magazines, I was on TV, on radio pretty often, being positioned as the expert in the industry. And then in 2012, I decided to go online because, like I said, I was trading time for money. And then I found a mentor who guided me to do just that. And by doing so in 2013, I crossed my first $1 million. And I made $100,000 in 3 months and then $1 million in a year. And it blew my mind because I never thought in my entire life that I would make that much money and in a very systematic process. It was not like a fly-by-night kind of thing. It was more like a systematic step-by-step kind of mode. And I wanted to share more of it with other people. So by doing these processes repeatedly again and again, I came up with my methodology, which is Soul Rich Woman Blueprint. And that that is like a magic wand. We talk about being a woman of influence, you having the star power, how do you attract the fishes to you or the people to you, and then having the glow, which means how do you attract the dangling offer that what we call the irresistible offer to your customers or potential customers, and then by building a back end, which is your magic funnels. So by having this magic wand, as a story I always say, when Cinderella was being saved by the fairy godmother, you know that the magic wand is in the fairy godmother's hands. But by 12 midnight, Cinderella has to turn back to normal at midnight. If the magic wand was in your own hands, then you have the power to make a difference and change your life, build your online reputation, and get the freedom, the financial independence that you truly desire to have. So that whole offline to online thing is the metaphor of the magic wand. And by having that power in your hands, you can do magic either in your business and transform your life.
No, I love it. You hit on quite a few things, and I have a couple of different ways I want to take this. But first and foremost, let me just recap some of it. You talked about for yourself going offline to online. You were really exchanging hours for dollars, right? If you worked, you got paid. If you didn't work, you didn't get paid, and that's something that a lot of people go through, especially budding entrepreneurs, because there's this fallacy that you go from corporate America, a day job where you're exchanging hours for dollars, to I want to be an entrepreneur. And then you get yourself in the same position where you still have to work very hard or you're not going to get paid, especially if you're a solopreneur and you're kind of you have a business where you're really, instead of paying or getting paid by another company, you're still the one doing all the work. You're still exchanging those hours for dollars. It's just a little bit of a different dynamic that you don't have a boss, right? So really kind of recognizing that I really need to create passive income, and I need to create income where it's not tied solely to the amount of hours I put in, but more about the value I create for others. And that really opens up the doors to allowing yourself to build and to grow. Where now in 1 month you're making, or in 3 months, I think you said you made $100,000, and then 1 year you were able to make that $1 million. You also talked about your brand, and you didn't say the word brand, but that's kind of the word that I kind of wrote down was, you were out there putting yourself, doing interviews, getting on TV, doing magazines. So you kind of were building a brand and a reputation. So you started creating an audience and a following. And then it was just a matter of figuring out how do you actually engage with them and have kind of solutions to engage with those individuals. And then I think the last thing that you talked about was really this blueprint and this irresistible offer, the magic wand, the magic funnel. How do you engage with people in a way, but do it systematically where you set yourself up for success and it's not a guessing game? So I want to work backwards, if that's okay with you. Talk a little bit more about kind of, the blueprint and kind of the way you've looked at the system and identified that this isn't luck, this isn't happenstance. There's actually a strategic approach that you can take to create success when creating an online business.
Mm. So when we talk about building a successful online business, actually many of the women who came to us have already a store, either a store on a marketplace or a store on a what we call a shopping platform, right? So they already have a store, but there are hundreds and thousands of stores out there. And how then would you differentiate yourself? So by creating a message that will allow to turn your message into a power, like a glow on the magic wand, that will mean that the fishes will notice you, right? The people will notice you under the sea, right? So when you are developing your products or services, yeah, you have the best product, you have the best service. But think about it. Why do people covet the title of the best-selling author, right? Well, anybody can be an author, you just print a book, put on your cover, sew them on. That's a book, right? You are an author, published author. But why is it a best-selling author that people covet? So same likewise in business, you have that product, that book in your hand. But how are you going to get that product into the hands of the customers or the people that you want to serve? And to serve people at the highest level, at the highest calling, at the highest purpose, with the greatest passion that you have, it is to sell without selling. Remember this: sell to everybody, sell to nobody. Speak to one, speak to many. And that is why in the magic wand, if your star has got 10 different types of colors, you will get the fish confused. If your star has only one or maybe two colors, a yellow and a green versus a rainbow wand, people will most likely notice the yellow and the green. Think about traffic lights. Why are they red, green, and yellow single? Why can't they have all three in one? So if you put the logic in place systematically, if you apply this process, you will be able to get the attention of the people whom are interested in what you have to offer, which is the value that you are giving. Because by giving value like crazy, and that is when you can show your expertise. But too many people are concerned. What if I give away too much? And then, I'm no longer valuable. What if, they compare me with other YouTubers or podcasters? Hey, come on. There's always your unique experiences behind you. I have 20 years of experiences behind me, and that is what makes me unique. And just like for you, John, you too have your experiences behind you. So each and every single one of us are different. Although we may geek speak the same stuff, but the stuff that actually came out, like our blueprint, the magic wand came up because of my journey as Miss Singapore, as a cafe retail chain owner, serving politicians and CEOs of companies, and being an image consultant, and help hundreds and thousands of women achieve success and transformation in their business. So I really believe that you should quit thinking and start walking and start moving and take baby steps, celebrate small wins. Because by doing so, you will be able to add up the sum of the little ones to make a big, big success for yourself.
Yeah, you talked about focus, right? Not getting distracted by having that rainbow wand, making sure we're crystal clear on what we're putting out there for our potential clients. And I really like the notion that the audience is out there, and you talked about creating value. You used the word, I wrote it down. You used the word to serve people. And I underscored serve because I think that is a very powerful word. And I think it's a very powerful view of yourself and the way you approach your business. But just for any entrepreneur, if you just see people as clients, as dollar signs, as an opportunity to make money, then you're coming from a place where it's going to be more difficult for you because of your lens, the way you talk, the way you approach it, the way you think. It's going to be self-serving. But if you come from a place of serving others and putting yourself in their shoes and asking yourself, what do they need to hear from me? What lessons can they learn? How can I help them be better in their business? How do I help, guide them down this pathway? You're now putting yourself in a position to be, you mentioned the fairy godmother, right? Well, the fairy godmother was not in it for her. She didn't say, hey, do this and, I get X. She just said, do this and here's the rules, but here's what you got to do. And I think that notion is a very powerful one. And you talked about your story. And the last thing I'll hit is you talked about that all of us, whether you're a YouTuber, podcaster, and it's something that all of us go through because a lot of the answers are very similar. If you listen to me talk about marketing, they're going to be pretty similar to what I'm sure some of the stuff that you're going to share, to some of the things that other people are going to share. So it's not that the information is wrong or there's only one person with the right answer, but there's only one person who can deliver it the way you can deliver it. Your story is your story. And I do want to talk a little bit more about storytelling in your background because you've mentioned, Miss Singapore and working with politicians. And your story is very deep and very rich, even beyond kind of that cafe retail. Take us back. I know that you started at a young age in business and kind of went through, and I'd love to learn more about the process of you becoming Miss Singapore and kind of how that impacted your business future.
Well, for me, I started very young. When I was 14 years old, I was not born rich, so I had to support myself through school. And I was a yoga instructor, an aerobics instructor, and also a country line dancing instructor. So my mom pawned some of her gold to send me to the programs, and I got certified at a very young age. I was often bullied in school. And I always ask myself, why am I doing what I'm doing? There were 2 incidents. I just want to highlight this because, bullying is something that is very real. And it's just how we cope with it and the people around us that make a difference. So there's this lady, this group of girls, they come to me and then they pull open my shirt. And because I didn't have a lot of money to buy like clothes and, your inner wear. So, and then exposing my bra. And then the mean girl go like, oh, you're wearing the same bra? And everybody laughed at me. So it was quite depressing because you already don't have that much money, right? And then there was another incident I still remember so vividly, is that because my school bag is also old, it's a hand-me-down. And in front of people, they just threw my bag across the classroom floor. And all my bags were strewn all across, my books were all strewn across the floor. And at that moment, I wanted to commit suicide. I wanted to die. I just wish that, if this bullying continues for another 365 days, I'll probably not survive school. But my mom was a great savior. she really counseled me and guided me through, and that made me think about what I do and why I do. And I realized that I'm the life that she has given me. Um, I want to, do more of my life. So leading these forward, I always have this attitude of never giving up, and knowing that the why is bigger than the how. So when my friends encouraged me to go for Miss Singapore, my self-esteem was like way low, right? And I don't have money to buy shoes and clothes like what a lot of them could do. So what I did was I saved up to buy 2 pairs of heels, one black and one silver. And then I didn't have money to go for courses. So I knocked on doors to ask for sponsorship. So I knocked on doors and, would you like to help me? I'm looking to join this competition, and would you like to sponsor me? And of course they ask, so what's in it for me, right? And so I managed to pitch my way through. Eventually I found this vocal coach. Her name is Rebecca. And she didn't say that it was for free, right? But she did say that, okay, I'll sponsor you. And here are all my DVDs, my tapes, and these are all my footages that you can learn from, my notes. And then she asked me next, can you take out your bag? I said, okay. I handed her my bag. And then she opened my bag, took out my wallet, opened up the wallet with only $60 inside, Singapore dollars. She took out all my cash, poured all the coins. And I'm like, hey, that's all my money I've got left for the month, If you took everything, I would have been left with nothing. And she's like, no, Genecia, you have to understand this. The value that I'm giving you, even though I'm sponsoring you, it has a value to it. Even though you have no money, I'm helping you, but I must teach you the understanding of what is value exchange. And from that moment, I understood, wow, this learning is so powerful for me. And I brought this understanding into my pageant, and I won in 2006. I joined Miss Singapore Universe. I came in top 3, first time in pageant. I won top 3. And then I went to Miss Singapore International and I won first, right? And this part of the storytelling was told and taught to me by Rebecca. And she shared with me how to be consistent, how to, stage up a platform and then eventually be consistent at it and, be able to share my story, my purpose, what are things that I'm doing. So 3 things I learned in pageant, I think has really taught me and served me well, even up till today. The first part was about, sharing your story and your journey. I think I hone it continuously even up till today. The other one was really teamwork. There are 90 girls from all over the world, and you have to work with them in a very short time. So by learning teamwork and putting out all the cattiness, which usually there are some, we are able to work with each other in a way that we all get to our own personal goals. Third thing I learned is learning not to be shy, and never be a point of no regrets, right? Because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, right? When you are there, be present, and be there to live the life to the fullest. So these are things that I really take into consideration of what I've pursued. And therefore, I put all these things, even up to today, in Soul Rich Woman, in my blueprint. And I really believe that getting women's voices heard and shine is such an important thing, because women sometimes have fear of failure, fear of rejection, people judging, they are being bullied. I mean, I've been through all of this, and that is why I do what I do. It's all about the why.
No, I love it. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that story about, going through being bullied and the impact it had at you at that time, as well as all the steps that it took for you to overcome not just that, but getting into the pageantry and winning, Miss Singapore. You mentioned 3 things that you learned from that experience. The first was sharing your story and the power of sharing your story. The second was teamwork. The third being, really taking advantage of the stage, not being shy and not having any regrets. We've talked about Soul Rich Woman a couple of times, and the first word in that is soul, which is beyond just the financial riches. I think listening more of your story, I start to get a sense of why you named your company Soul Rich Woman. But can you elaborate a little bit more about kind of the importance of the soul as it comes to, or as it pairs with the financial fruits that people are looking to gain?
I think so definitely comes first. I think one of the biggest thing that when you have money and when you have fame and you have everything else, like for me, I had during my cafe retail chain time, I had money, I had fame, I had everything that you need. But the calling just was not right. I mean, I learned a lot doing retail business because it's up to that little part of the operations and scaling it to a multi-country business plus you have 18 franchisees and licensees to run. So it's kind of this whole business thing that is great. But inside I was like, oh my God, so empty. And I knew that if I were to do something, I want to serve and I want to, be called to. I know that I was being called to do something bigger than what I'm doing now. Therefore, I moved into building up Slow Rich Woman in 2014. In fact, it was not called that before that. It was called You Are Possible Academy. And however, my women didn't resonate with that. So we rebranded and it was called Soul Rich Woman. And the reason for that soul is because if your heart, as a woman, as your heart, maybe for you too, but if your heart is not full and filled and overflowing with joy, with abundance, with happiness, with that much love, if you're angry and shriveled and hatred and if you have all these things, how then can you build your business, right? So when we grow a tree, when we plant, I want an apple, you have to plant an apple seed in order to grow an apple tree. If you want orange, you have to seed in orange seeds before they grow into oranges, right? So likewise, whatever your roots that you have within you, which is your soul, the richness of that abundance or the external part of the financial will manifest itself automatically. So that's why Soul Rich Woman.
No, that's great. I love that so much. Thank you for elaborating there. The last question before we move on to our bullseye round is I want to just really understand as you look at Soul Rich Woman, we've talked about kind of understanding who you can help. We've talked about your focus being women in Southeast Asia in particular, and really the connection and the story that you tell. For that person who is listening to this right now, but maybe they don't have the confidence to go out on a stage or to be front and center on a video chat or a podcast or a YouTube or something like that to grow their business. What would you say to them?
Find a mentor to kick your ass. I mean, there are really having a mentor has really changed my life. I think we are first the average of the 5 people that we hang on with the most, number one. Number two, I would not have crossed my first 100,000 in 3 months and $1 million in a year if without the guidance of somebody who has already got the roadmap, who has already been there, done that. In Robert Kiyosaki's book, Fake Teacher, I think you understand the concept of fake teacher versus real teacher, which means people who just read books and then assumingly teach you, or versus would you want to learn and really follow or what we call model after success of people who has really done it in their business. So that was something I would say to really shortcut your success and truly believe in yourself, because even though you don't have the courage, you think that you are afraid to fail, there are criticisms, there are people who are not believing in you. You know what? I believe in you. And I believe Johnny believed in you too. Well, both of us are here to support you and to give you some kick on your ass, all right? So quit thinking, start moving, get out of the comfort zone and go towards the dreams that you've always truly wanted to achieve. I remember when I interviewed Gary Vaynerchuk, he said this: go look in the eyes of the elderly and ask yourself this question. What do you see in the elderly's eyes? Do you see regret? Do you see joy? Do you see sadness? And ask yourself this question: what do you want to see in your own eyes when you are old? So live life with no regrets, because you only live once.
I love it. Love it. Great points there. And get your ass kicked by somebody. So if you're scared or nervous, there's an opportunity to come out. Great points there. Genecia, I know that you are on a mission to help a lot of women really launch their online business. tell me a little bit more about that cause and some of the things that you're doing to help women kind of take that next step.
So we have a couple of things. In fact, this year we have really soft launched our platform called Instant Podcast Leader. And then later on we'll be launching Instant Book Author, basically helping women to get started, to get their voices heard and shine. So it doesn't have to be someone in business, as long as you're a woman and you're looking to really get your stories told. Even though you are fearful, you just know that there is a place and a safe haven to guide you, handhold you, every single step of the way, so that you can shine in your own way, not because we told you to use a video or because we told you to use something. You just have your own way of telling your own story. Yeah, so that's what we are embarking on, and it's been quite successful. We have launched over, just in 3 months, we launched over 400 episodes for women across Southeast Asia. Yeah, so we are very, very excited.
That's awesome. 400. Wow, that's amazing. All
Yeah.
right. Well, we'll look forward to hearing more about that platform. We'll make sure we put a link in their show notes for anyone who's looking to gain more information. With that said, let's move on to our Bullseye Round. How has a failure or apparent failure set you up for later success?
Well, it has helped me to open up my mind that every failure is not a problem. In fact, before we're all masters of disasters. So yeah, take it easy.
What is the book you've recommended or gifted the most in the last year?
Rich Woman by Kim Kiyosaki.
Give me a digital or mobile resource you recommend for your business.
Evernote, Asana.
What is a daily habit that helps you stay focused on your goals?
Well, I have my quiet time.
What's one thing you know now that you wish you knew when you were starting out?
More mentors who can guide me than my own brain can lead myself.
What's one thing you know now that you wish you knew just 12 months ago? That Netflix is, the way to go to build our online brand. I'm going to come back to that because that's interesting. All right. What advice would you give to a smart-driven college student about the real world?
Always do internships to know and explore what you want, than to assume what they look like on the outside. Because if you're never on the inside, you never know what's on the inside.
What are you curious about right now?
I'm curious how women are growing by using their voices and to reach out to more people. What kind of impact would it create in the next 12 months?
All right, give me the best place to grab a bite in your city.
Hua You Yi is like a seafood kind of restaurant with like chili crabs and pepper crabs. Black pepper crabs.
Say it again for me.
Hua You Yi.
All right. Well, check that one out. Excellent. All right. You mentioned Netflix as a way to grow your business. Explain a little bit more about what you mean by that.
Okay. Because, we talk about stickiness on the internet, and there's always like, your fishes or your customers can only see you, 3 seconds or more or less, and then they will click X and then they'll move on. Or the news feed is just very distracting, especially now with a lot of ads popping in their faces. So the new way of marketing is building something like Netflix, where your customers can keep coming back to an area where they can be very sure when you're launching your what we call it, not just programs, but something they can watch, that can be engaged in. So building that kind of framework on your website or in your community allows you to decrease your ad spend over time. So Wistia actually explained this whole concept, so you can go check it out. I'm not sure if they still have that video, but they actually explained this concept of brand affinity, and and we actually applied it in Slow Rich Woman as well. And when I saw at Wistia that video host, they're talking about it, I was like, wow, we are really on the right track. Yeah, because like I said, ad costs are going up. And how can you engage your, your people more, right? Your fishes more. And the only way is to keep them like back and, like a pond or fish net. You catch your fish, you put them inside, and then just swimming around. And you can just expand the net size or use different types of nets. And they're just always there inside until they're ready to be harvested. Then, they will be harvested, So you don't have to worry about just keeping spending $8 again and again to catch the fish. Although we do need to do that as, fishers of men, or, to get in the potential leads. But that's fine. But what is that consistent way for you to keep them, engaged throughout? Because sometimes they're not ready to buy at this moment, but if they're always back in and back out again. I have women following me for 4 years before they make any purchase. I have women following me for like 3 months and then they jumped in. I have women who have known me for a day after a workshop, and then they do like the high value masterminds. And the reason for that is because we have built that framework for them to be engaged, and that keep coming back. Is there new launches? Is there new program? Is there new movies? Is there new TV shows? Is there new TV series that people can come on? And that was why I saw this trend and we built on it. And one of the things that we are doing is that podcast platform that we are building. So it's like a podcast network. So I don't do on my own. Imagine this. I have like 20 podcasts that's currently on our network. They're all women, from doctors to stay-at-home moms to, different professions, And by doing so, people are coming back again and again and again for different types of content within a single Netflix-style framework. So that is what I meant in a nutshell. And because when you do that, you will get across to your fishes efficiently, and even though with your ad spend, you will still get to them more effectively.
No, great tips there, especially when you think about the engagement level and keeping them engaged and creating content that continues to educate them and provides value and serves them in getting them prepped and getting them ready. So once they're ready to take that leap with you, assuming that they are, they have one person that they've been working with. And that goes back to not being concerned about giving away information or anything like that, because if you're programming them and you're giving away that content and you're helping to serve these individuals, they're going to come to you when they're ready. So great information there. This has been a lot of fun, a lot of great, valuable tips. I know that your focus is women, but I think your content obviously resonates beyond just women. So lots of great information there. And I really appreciate you coming on the show and being so open with us. Thank you again, Genecia.
Thank you.